What's up guys, it's Alex here, your friendly reef dog. Now I recently upgraded my lights to two IT5012 Evergrows and I've had a number of comments from you guys asking me to tell you more about it, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'll tell you why I ditched T5s and went all LED, I'll show you the hanging bracket I've made, and I'll give you my thoughts on the Evergrows overall. Now Evergrows aren't available in most shops in the UK, so I'll put links in the description for where you can find them. And if this is your first time at the channel and you want weekly reefing goodness, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on anything. Right, let's get stuck in. First up then, I decided to make my own mounting bracket for two IT5012s. They do come with a hanging kit and tank mount, but I wanted something better. So I used two pieces of 50cm aluminium profile with T-shaped nuts to line up with the existing screw channels in the Evergrows. I then put the bolts into the T-nuts and slid the bolt heads into the Evergrow screw channels where the stock hanging bolts sit. There are two screw channels per light, so they should hold in place well, and so far they actually feel really solid and it feels like they're going nowhere. Unfortunately, I couldn't get big enough T-nuts to fit the stock Evergrow hanging wires, so I used the hanging kit from my Giesemann Stellar instead, which attaches to the top of the aluminium profile with more T-nuts. I've left a gap down the middle partly to avoid a hot spot where the light intersects, but also I may choose to add either a couple of small kessels, a T5 tube or an Orfec bar later on to give my SPS a bit more juice and to improve colour. But for now, as a happy accident, I actually think the lights look a little better with a gap between them. Now getting the exact right parts for these hanging brackets was an absolute nightmare, so I'll put links to everything in the description. For a 2-foot wide tank, I felt 50cm wide brackets were perfect as it gives the best possible spread, and I used 20mm aluminium because I wanted it to look as sleek and minimalist as possible. Now in the end, the hardest part of this was taking down the Stellar and fixing the Evergrows in place. Both lights are heavy and an awkward size, and because I'm stubborn I refused Mrs. Reef Dog's offer of help, so I've condensed 20 minutes of footage into 30 seconds to create the illusion that I didn't struggle. Now overall I'm really chuffed with it. It gives a really clean and minimalist look, well considering the lights are 8 square feet, and was easy to put together. Now you could easily use this as a rig for other lights too, and you don't need any DIY skills to make it. So what about the lights themselves then? When I bought my first Evergrow I found it gave more power than my Kessil AP700 and A360 put together. But the power was focused mainly directly below the light and didn't spread very wide, which is what BRS TV found when they did a full par test recently. The Evergrow was also too wide to fit in the Stellar with the shortening end brackets, so I had to remove them and fit the wider brackets. And that meant I lost some of the power the Stellar was giving. As an example, I could see my Zoas were stretching up towards the light, and I felt some of my SPS that were closer to the edges of the tank would show better colour with a bit more light. Now if you have a mixed reef, the Evergrow's narrow light spread is probably a good thing, as it means you can easily place your LPS in lower light. But my tank is probably 80 or 90% SPS, so I want lots of light more or less everywhere. Now the Evergrows are powerful, so I've raised them up 3 inches higher to 11 inches off the water surface. That also makes access for maintenance easier and means I can fit my camera under the lights for awesome top-down videos and photos. And I've set the Evergrows to a maximum of 90% on the 3 blue and violet channels and the red, white and green channels to just 18 and 12% purely to add a bit of colour. I've been tinkering with the colour channels for a good few weeks now, and I finally got it where I want it and to where I think most people would like it. This is my schedule, which you can program into your own Evergrow remote to achieve the same effect. Now I started with the Radeon AB Plus settings, but I didn't like the look of the white colour during the day and I found it muted some of my colours, particularly the pinks, so I tweaked it until I got where I am now. And with these settings I get a fantastic sunrise and sunset with the deep royal blue colour for the most incredible fluorescent effect you have ever seen in your life. And on top of that I get a lovely colour during the day that shows off the true colour of my fish and corals. Importantly as well, I now have a strong and very even spread of par, and when I say even I am not kidding. It's between 250 and 350 everywhere I measured in the tank. Even my Zoas on the sandbed that were stretching towards the light are now getting 300 par when they were previously getting around 200, and they're looking much better for it. I have lost a little bit of colour in the tank during the day for my T5s, and while I've got the Evergrows looking great under white lights, the T5s did do a better job of that. But it's no biggie, and the total blanket of light I'm now getting, particularly the blue in the evenings, more than makes up for it. In my opinion, the tank looks absolutely phenomenal now, and I've got it exactly how I want it. Now, I've been asked a few times if these lights can grow SPS, and from what I've seen, not just on my tank but on other tanks running the same lights, the answer is a resounding yes. The only downsides of the Evergrows are that the controller is a bit rubbish, the dimming steps down so isn't completely smooth, and they're quite heavy at 5 kilograms each. But the controller and dimming isn't so bad that it should put you off, and you can get a Wi-Fi controller anyway that sorts that, and there's even an official ReefBreeder app and Wi-Fi controller coming soon. The weight of the lights is mainly the metal body, which actually gives it a real quality look and feel and acts as a heatsink. Since I've reduced the intensity from 100% to 90%, I haven't heard the cooling fans come on once, so the lights run absolutely silent. Then there's the cost. These two 48-inch lights cost me £1,000, including the bits I bought to make the hanging brackets. For the same money, you would get only 2 Radion XR15s by the time you've added mounting brackets and diffusers. And to achieve the same effect of LEDs covering the entirety of the top of your tank, with light coming at your fishing corals from every possible angle, you would need at least 6 XR15s on a 4x2x2 like this, maybe even 8. But for me, they're not just about the money. We all see colour differently and have different tastes, but to my eye, the colour and shimmer of the Evergrows is better than my old Radions. Admittedly, the shimmer isn't as good as my Kessels, but the only thing better than Kessels for shimmer is the sun. Oh, and metal halides. Now, Evergrows won't be for everyone, and I'm not saying that they're objectively better than Radions, or any other light for that matter. What I am saying is that I personally love them and rate them very highly, and I don't think anyone would be disappointed with them. Now, before I saw these lights in the flesh, I used to think of them as a bit of a budget option and probably not something worth bothering with. But now I've got them, I really rate them, and I'd really like to know what you guys think about them. So let me know in the comment section below. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe for next week. And until next time, happy reefing.